What's up, YouTube? It's your boy. Welcome back to Hold My Nuts podcast, where I know you're tired of releasing on your keyboards, your laptops, and your desktops, and you're tired of being manipulated and dominated by female culture. You are in the right place. Without further ado, man, let's get into this video. Guys, I'm going to give you 3 things you need to understand and 3 things you need to implement if you want to be successful when you are faced with temptation on the semen retention journey. For those of you who are just starting semen retention, I know it's difficult. I know you have a lot of extra energy floating around. Hang in there. It will get better as you learn to develop certain skills to get you over the hump. The number one thing you have to do in order to be successful when faced with temptation is you have to be self-aware. That is very key. What does being self-aware mean? Meaning you have to understand what your weaknesses are. If you don't know what your weaknesses are, you are not going to be successful with semen retention. So you have to know what gets you to that point. You have to know, what situations you're in that is going to lead you to relapsing, right? You have to be self-aware. You have to be honest with yourself. There's no other way to be able to overcome temptation than being self-aware. That's the number one key, or that's my number one key, is being self-aware. If you don't know what your weaknesses are, at any moment that temptation arises, you're going to be toast. You're going to get wiped out. You're going to release on those keyboards, those laptops, and those desktops. And Apple does not have a protection plan for the jizz, man. I'm just being honest. I'm being honest. Guys, you have to be self-aware. You have to know what you're dealing with. You have to know yourself. You have to know what situations is going to cause you to relapse, what situations are going to cause you to fall backwards, to get knocked off of your horse. The number 2 thing you need to be successful when faced with temptation, you have to be humble. You have to be humble. That is a major key. You will not be successful with semen retention if you are not humble. A lot of times we tend to be judgmental of others because we have not experienced a certain situation that another person has experienced, and they maybe fail in that situation. They maybe did something that you think that you wouldn't have done if you were in the same boat. But the reality is, if you've never been tempted with that temptation, if you have never been tempted with that temptation, you don't really know if you would have succeeded or not. You can think you would have. You can think you would have done the right thing, but you never really know. And if you're not humble, you can find yourself falling into the same trap. So if you want to give yourself a chance to be successful on semen retention, guys, you have to be humble. We know what the Bible says, that pride comes before the fall. Pride comes before the fall. Pride comes before the fall. If you're prideful, if you're walking around being judgmental, if you're walking around self-righteous, if you're walking around like everything is buttoned up and you're not going to fall into these certain pitfalls, you're sadly mistaken, right? The one thing you have to understand, we are all humans, which means we all err, which means you can never be perfect in your speech. You can never be 100% perfect in your conduct. You are always going to be prone to some type of mistake because you're human. Right? So when you understand that, it's important that you remain humble. Understanding that will cause you to be humble. You have to be humble, guys. You can't think you have it all together just because you made a decision to start semen retaining, to start semen retention, to start changing your life for the better. You can't get ahead of yourself. You can't get ahead of yourself. Be humble. Stay in the moment. Don't relish on your past successes as being indicative of a future success. You warded off those females yesterday. You warded off porn yesterday. You stayed the course. That was yesterday. Today is a new day, right? Stay humble. Still wake up and go about that day as if it's the first day of semen retention. You have to be humble on your semen retention journey. If you're not, it's only a matter of time before the pride gets to you and you fall. You will fall. The third thing you need to know or need to do or need to implement in order to set yourself up for success on semen retention is you have to set parameters. You have to be proactive. You can't wait to fall into a situation. You can't wait for that circumstance to arise. You have to be proactive, and you have to put in the necessary parameters, the measures, so that you can be successful, right? So if you scroll too much on TikTok, or if you scroll too much on Instagram, or if you are on your phone too much, you may end up doing something you're not proud of. You may end up desecrating laptops, keyboards, desktops, blacktops, stovetops, rooftops. You have to put in protective measures to give yourself a better, higher chance of success. Because if you don't, you just fall right into the trap. You just fall right into it. You fall right into the trap. So you have to set those parameters based off of your weaknesses. This goes back to point number one. You've identified your weaknesses. You set the parameters to prevent you from being captivated, to prevent you from being overtaken, to prevent you from falling into these traps. You have to be proactive. You can't sit around and be lackadaisical when it comes to this, because if you do, your chances of success when it comes to temptation is going to dwindle, right? And I told you guys before, once you fall, it's very hard to get back up and get going again, because you have to wrestle through the condemnation. You have to wrestle with the fact that you messed up, you release. You have to wrestle with the fact that you have to start all over again. You have to wrestle with all of that, and all of that weighs on your mind. It halts your progress. So you want to be proactive in your approach. You want to know, listen, if I go hang out over here, there's a good chance I'm gonna get a number. There's a good chance, I'm gonna start up a little conversation via text, and I might do a meetup, and you never know what's gonna happen after that, right? So you have to give yourself a chance to win. You have to know, man, if I go to the gym at a certain time, I might not get the best workout because I might be captivated by what I see. You feel me? You gotta be ready. So maybe you go early in the morning when it's less of a crowd, or maybe you go late at night when it's less of a crowd. I'm not saying you got to try to shield yourself from women. That's not what I'm saying, man. I'm just saying you have to know your weaknesses, right? You have to know what can potentially cause you to fall. I can't dictate that for you because I'm not you. I don't know what your weaknesses are or how you can get caught up, right? And just like you're not me. So you can't set those parameters for me either. So you have to be honest with yourself. Honest with yourself and identify, if I allow this to happen, I'm going to release. If I allow this to happen, I'm not really going to have a successful semen retention, streak, I'm not going to really be able to put it all together, man. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is, oh my nuts. I'm gonna holler at you guys in the next video. Peace.